as Phil, so I don't have my speech or my reflections memorized. So I have sheets of paper. Phil asked me a few months back if I wouldn't mind saying a few words today. So naturally I said, of course not. So Phil, a few words. Thank you. I'm just kidding. First, I have to say that I'm very honored to be here today, not just because this is the first time that I have attended a 50th wedding anniversary celebration, but because I'm celebrating this occasion with my second family. I mean, whoever said you can only have one mom and dad. I'll never forget the first time that I met Phil and Edie. I just simply don't remember it.
Too long.
However, I do remember being slightly intimidated. I mean, who could you blame me? Here I was an older guy that was dating their youngest daughter, who was still in college. Plus, I had been previously married and was actually still going through a divorce. Not to boot, I had a 3-year-old son in the luggage case as well. But let me tell you something about these two wonderful people that I have no doubt each and every one of you here today can attest to. Phil and Edie welcomed me and Sean with open arms and no judgment. At least none that I am aware of. It's no wonder that there's so many of us here today to celebrate with this man and woman of God have been weaving for the past 50 years. And for that, you deserve a big applause. I have been so blessed to be part of this family, and I thank you both, Phil and Edie, for opening your hearts, your souls, and your home, not only to myself, but to my son, Sean, as well. On that note, I would also like to say a special thank you to Edie, also for opening her refrigerator to my stomach. I'm going to tell you, that thing is never empty. It is always full. She usually some great food, with the occasional expired carton of milk that seems to linger around longer than it should. That's okay, because there's always ice cream in the freezer, and I know that for a fact because when I got here Wednesday night, me and Phil had a bar, so. And it's still there. Phil and Edie, you've created memories both in my heart and in my soul that I will never forget. Memories of kindness, memories of love, and memories of compassion. I am so proud and fortunate to be able to call you my in-laws. And although I have only known you for 18 years, Ivana, you've been married 16 years, I've known you for 18 years, I see in you every day the love of Christ that the two of you have for each other. You're both such an inspiration to me. Ivana and I, and hopefully, and I think 36 years, maybe you can come to ours. Phil, I love the conversations that you and I have about everything from sports to politics, religion, even though I really don't know much about any of those. I truly do enjoy the conversations and that time that you and I share together sitting on the couch. While there may be some son-in-laws who cannot talk about such things with their father-in-law due to difference of opinions, that is certainly not the case with you. A couple times I've even tried to purposely have a different opinion just to get you all excited and riled up, but that never seems to work. You're always calm and you're always open-minded. There is, however, one little exception. One thing that can send this nice, calm, married man of God into a great big hissing. Phil, I love watching any Philly game with you. Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, Eagles, doesn't matter. Because you are a true red, white, and blue, green, white, and silver, orange and black Philly fan through and through. And that is all the way up until the team that we're watching makes their first mistake. So here's the problem when it comes to watching any Philly game with Phil. As soon as the other team scores, or a mistake is made by our team, and I mean it could be in the first inning, the first quarter, or the first period, Phil has already predicted an unfavorable rest of the season for that team. Then Coach Metcalf proceeds to express his frustrations at the television as if he were in the locker room with that very team. Throws his hands up in the air and flips the channel to CNN or MSNBC. I mean, this is politics. But that's okay because I see that same passion in his love not only for his family but especially for Edie. Thankfully, he hasn't turned the channel on her after 50 years. But one other thing that you may not realize about Phil is that he was actually voted one of Westchester's finest drivers. And I know this to be the fact from personal experience, most recently too. I can personally attest to the fact that Phil is Westchester's finest driver. At least that is when it comes to driving the wrong way on a one-way street. Phil likes to do that in Westchester. I remember the first time that happened to me because I nearly wet myself. That's okay, because after a few times you learn to just go with the flow. Because most times before oncoming traffic gets close enough for him to realize what he's doing, he makes a turn onto another street going the proper direction. I feel like, how in the world you gotta drive? Oh, how in the world you got a job driving a school bus? They obviously never called me for a reference. That's some pretty funny stuff, isn't it, Edith?
Uh-oh.
What are you laughing at? Oh, sure, you may be sweet and a great cook, but I got a few things burned in up here that I'll never be able to get quite rid of. Christmas time was always such a Norman Rockefeller moment with the Metcalf family. Festive sweaters, wonderful music playing, delicious foods, and the house was always decorated to the hilt. I'd have to say that Christmas time was one of my favorite holidays with Phil and Edie, and I'm not just talking about the great food or the exchanging of gifts. I mean the true feeling of family. But of course, with Christmas, there is a little bit of the old gift giving. And I loved how each year, someone in our family would get different. We get to play Santa Claus. We get to pass out gifts to everybody. You were both so generous, and to this day, you still very are. So while I may not remember the first time that I met you, I certainly remember a few of the gifts that you gave me. Edie. Nothing says Merry Christmas, Jimmy. We love you. More than opening up a beautifully wrapped gift and pulling out a butter dish. Or how about the year it was an apple peeler? Gifts that every young man would want to not wear. And how about the back-to-back Christmases? I love it because they don't remember half this stuff. How about the back-to-back Christmases? When you got me the same gift 2 years in a row? Because you forgot that you already gave me the gloved electric ice scraper the year before? Now that one wasn't so bad, it's just that I couldn't use both of them at the same time on the windshield. But that's quite alright because you've both been more generous in many other ways. Ecclesiastes 4:9 reads, 2 are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if 2 lie together, then they that have heat, but how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, 2 shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Phil and Edie, at no time in the 18 years that I have been blessed to know you, have I ever not seen the spirit of both of you together. Companionship has its benefit of producing strength, and unity there is strength. If each of you represent a cord, then together you make the twofold cord. Yet as I read from God's word, a threefold cord is not quickly broken, and that can only happen if you allow God to be intertwined with you and make the twofold cord a threefold cord, just as you have done for the past 50 years. So in much simpler terms, it is my honor to say thank you for allowing me to be part of this wonderful day in which we all gather to say happy 50th wedding anniversary for Edith Metcalf.